Thank you. Thanks, Pune developer community for like Pune tech community for this wonderful opportunity to speak here. I love speaking in this forum a lot. And today I bring another exciting topic. It's on Azure Spring Cloud. Okay. So like we are from Microsoft background. So why I'm talking about Spring? Like what has Spring to do with Azure developers or like Azure enthusiasts? So we'll see that today. We'll unlock this. So why I'm talking about Spring and what is Azure Spring Cloud and why Microsoft is so much interested in Spring and other open source areas. Okay. So let me first introduce myself. I work as a cloud solution architect. I'm an author. Like I published 3 books with BPB and one with Appraise, all on Azure. So I speak at different conferences. I bring with me 16 plus years of rich IT experience in bringing in digital transformation for large enterprises using cloud and AI. And I'm a research scholar of late, researching in the field of digital transformation. So that's about me. Let me talk about the agenda first, like how we are going to progress. So we will start by understanding the complex enterprise because this is a perfect use case where I will be able to tell you like why we need to talk about Spring, why I need to talk about Java, why I need to talk about other technologies apart from Microsoft.NET and all when in the context of Azure. So I will explain the complex enterprise, how it looks like. We will go beyond the different projects or like a single project or a single unit. We'll talk about an enterprise as a whole that has a lot of applications, lot of projects, and a lot of departments, thousands of applications running in, and how we can encompass everything in a single cloud transformation journey. So we will unlock this when we discuss about this cloud enterprise. Then since we are going to talk about Azure Spring Cloud, we need to touch a bit upon like Java support on Azure. But again, at the same time, Azure Spring Cloud is not just for Java. You can also run .NET applications using Steeltoe.NET. So that is there is no harm in that, and it is very much done today. Like I've seen in enterprises who are running Steeltoe like .NET applications using Steeltoe on Azure Spring Cloud. And finally, we will get into an exciting demo. Okay, so let's get in. Okay. So normally when we talk about big complex enterprises, this is how it will look like. It will have a variety of applications. Okay. So if you see this first box, you see like we have different kind of applications. We have console applications, we have Windows applications, we have web applications. We may have bots like of late, like after 2015, there are so many bots we see, right, as an application. So like we rather like bots, I mean like conversational interface based applications. So like we see a variety of applications or variety kind of applications built using different technologies like .NET Core, Angular, Java, Python, using different kind of databases. It can be Hadoop, it can be a Postgre, it can be SQL or MySQL, or even like big data databases or like some kind of a NoSQL databases like Cosmos. Like there is a variety, and all the applications in the enterprise like some like maybe using some technology or other. Like this is just a subset. Like for example, like you can have an application in the enterprise or a department in the enterprise which is based on .NET, another enterprise which is based on Java, and they're building web applications consuming MySQL. So like when we talk about a cloud transformation for the enterprise as a whole, as an enterprise cloud architect, you need to lift and shift, or rather, you need to transform all your applications, whether it is written in .NET or Java or Angular, or like it's a console, Windows, web, or it's using any kind of a database. So they should get transformed to your cloud environment, the cloud of your choice. And again, when we come to the cloud of your choice, there are different kind of cloud available today. Like we have Azure, we have AWS, we have Google Cloud, we have Oracle, we have IBM Cloud, like so many. Like I just mentioned few popular cloud offerings out here, but the list is too long, right? So we have a complex enterprise that can have multiple kind of applications, and we need to move it to the cloud. And of late, like it's pretty popular, like to have multi-cloud kind of environment, owing to different business requirements or like our vendor locking. Like it's a big story actually. Like let's park it for discussions for some other part of the story. Okay, so as an enterprise cloud architect, so you should be knowing or should have experience in dealing with different kind of applications that you see here. Okay. So for example, like I am a hardcore .NET guy. So I started my career as a in .NET. Then of late, when I moved into like cloud transformation or like cloud migration projects, so I started learning other technologies as well. And when you like aspire to get at an enterprise level or do cloud transformation at an enterprise level, you should know how to deal with different kind of languages that you will definitely find in large enterprises for which now you want to bring in a cloud transformation. Okay, so that is how like I designed the session, and I thought like let's talk about Java, because nowadays after 2017 or 2018 there is a very popular trend happening in the industry, especially in the BFSI domain, where like a lot of people are migrating to Java, like especially banks. So a lot of banks, they have a lot of Java applications. A lot of insurance companies, they run Java applications. So like it's a uh, in the financial sector, like Java is pretty popular. Okay, so Azure did not want to miss this opportunity. So what they did was they started like bringing in Java flavor to Azure as well. Okay, so like that is how like we see like Java, but nevertheless Angular, Python, everything is very well supported for your for your applications running on premises to move to the Azure. Okay, so before I move further, let's talk about Java, which is pretty popular. Like apart from .NET, of course, .NET is the popular choice of language when you talk about Azure. But after .NET, I have seen like Java is also widely embraced. So let's talk about Java. So when I talk on Java on Azure, I always say that Java is everywhere on Azure. So whether you go for a virtual machine or a web app or an Azure function, Azure Kubernetes service, Azure Service Fabric, anything. So like you'll find Java, like, and also like this Spring Cloud. Like if you have at any point of time heard of Java-based frameworks and all, you must have heard about Spring Cloud. So it's for the Spring developers. What they do is they build their Spring Boot applications. Spring Boot is a framework on Java. So like they build their applications on Spring Boot or using Spring. Then they take it to like Spring Cloud and host it there. Okay, so like it's an offering, like Microsoft has brought in this Spring Cloud offering to Azure and has started delivering as Azure Spring Cloud that runs on actually on VMware infra actually basically. So it's somewhat like a co-creation kind of thing like between Microsoft and VMware, and they have started giving Azure Spring Cloud. Okay, and but when we talk about Java, of course, like there are different versions. Every language they evolve, right? Every framework they evolve. So in case of Java, like we need to make sure that our the application that we are going to migrate should be at least on top of 8 plus. Like minimum version that is supported is Java 8. So if you have an older version or a legacy version, then definitely you need to like migrate it to Java 8 or like modernize it to Java 8. Definitely that's an activity that we do whenever we go for any cloud migration activity. The very first thing that we do is we do some kind of a modernization activity, right? In the assessment, in the first phase, when we assess the enterprise, or rather when we assess the application in that enterprise, we first see like what are the legacy components there in the assessment, and we try to figure out if that can be migrated. Like then we decide upon like the approach we'll take. So there are different approaches, right? Lift and shift, or like you want to re-architect, you want to refactor. Everything comes down from here. Okay, but if you want to intrinsically use Azure PaaS services, so I would suggest modernize your Java application to Java 8 plus at a minimum, then go ahead. Okay. And also on Java, you will find different kind of frameworks supported. Okay. You can run your application on Spring Boot, Open Liberty, JBoss, Tomcat, like so many different kind of frameworks and servers uh, are available that can actually support your application. So that is how it is. Like Azure landscape very well supports Java applications, and I've seen a lot of insurance customers, banking customers doing a lot of Java stuff on Azure. Now let's come to the area of our interest, that is Azure Spring Cloud. Okay. So I know like most of us are from Microsoft background, like including me, like I'm from .NET background. Like when I started looking at uh, projects from an enterprise level, so like I had to step into different flavors and technologies available in the enterprise. So that is how I encountered with Java. So like if you see Java, so there is a very popular framework called a Spring Boot. Okay. So like there are a lot of frameworks available in Java, but Spring Boot is pretty much popular with developers. It makes their life easy. Like when I say it makes the life easy means like you need not write a lot of code there actually. Basically, when you are dealing with Spring Boot. Okay. So what I see is like suppose you want to interact with a database. Okay. So it makes your life easy. Like you just need to do some kind of configurations. You need to use some kind of dependencies and you are sorted. Okay. And also on top of it for Spring Boot, there is a very nice UI they provide where you can actually choose the application version. You can actually choose the packages available. They call it as a Spring IO, like Spring IO user interface. So there actually you can generate the Spring application, download it, and you can start from there. Okay. So what Azure Spring Cloud does is it gives you an integrated lifecycle management environment for Spring Boot applications. So what is a lifecycle in an application, or what does an application need as a part of the lifecycle? It should have you should have the flexibility to develop and deploy. That is the first thing. Second thing is once the application is deployed, you should be able to test it. Once the application is in production, you need to take care of the logs. Okay, you should be able to easily integrate with logs. You should be able to connect to the different other Azure resources with ease. You should be able to have mechanism of authentication and authorization. So all this life cycle, like even for maintenance cycles, you should have monitoring monitoring cycles, like where you can actually monitor whether the application is running good or not. Are there any issues with the application? So all these kind of things you need to take care when we're talking about the lifecycle management overall, like end to end, like right from the deployment to the application monitoring, uh, like ev- uh, and even development. So everything has to be taken care of. So Azure Spring Cloud takes care of all these things for your Spring Boot applications. Okay. And not just Java Spring Boot applications, I'll stress upon it. You can also build .NET based applications and run on Azure Spring Cloud using Steeltoe. Okay, I'm not covering that part today. Like it's again a big area, discussing about Steeltoe and all. So one more important aspect with Azure Spring Cloud is it facilitates microservices development. Okay, you can actually build microservices, like lot of tons of services, and you can bring it and host it here in Spring Cloud. It gives you all support for service discovery, service availability, all the microservices related concerns. Okay, so all those things you can actually bake in easily here. Okay, so and you can use it. Maybe in context to that, I have a very nice documentation open from Microsoft. I'll just show it to you in a while. So as a developer, we just need to build the code and the rest all, like I told you, the lifecycle management, logging, all these things, like everything is taken care of by the underlying platform. It's a PaaS service. We just need to build our code. If you're going for a microservices kind of application, build your microservices, and rest all is taken care of by the underlying platform. You just need to deploy your code here. Scaling all, you just need to configure and leave it. It will take care of. Okay. And I've already told you, like, it runs on top of VMware infrastructure on Azure. So like, I think Spring Cloud Enterprise, I need to check the enterprise edition of this. It runs on VMware Tanzu, I believe. It's in preview, but I believe, like, if you are from, like, as infrastructure background, you will understand what a VMware Tanzu is. Or if you are from a Kubernetes background and you are familiar with VMware infrastructure, then, like, you will understand what a Tanzu is. It's a pretty cool offering from VMware. So you like the Spring Cloud service, for enterprises, for enterprise flavors, it runs on VMware Tanzu. Okay. And the best is, I already told you how it integrates with other services like Azure Active Directory, Application Insights, Redis Cache, Storage Account, Cosmos DB, and a lot of other PaaS databases and services you can integrate with without writing any code. Okay, what I mean by that. So, like, for example, you want to connect to a database. Okay, what you need to do? You need to have a connection string, keep it in your application configuration settings. Then you deploy your application to your to your cloud service. Okay. Then what if the database changes tomorrow? You need to have another connection string. So what you need to do? You need to again, define that connection string in the code. Okay. You need to build it and again deploy it. This is one of the example. But in Azure Spring Cloud, no need of defining any interfacing code, or any integration code. Like, for example, no need of putting any connection string either for the database or Redis Cache or anything in the code. You can do it without writing any code. I'll show it to you. I'll demo you today, like, how we can interact with Azure Redis Cache. No need of writing or putting the service connection string in the application, or a Redis Cache connection string in the application. We can directly do it using our on Azure Spring Cloud. We need to build some dependencies. I'll show you how to do it. Okay. And the best part is, like, Azure Spring Cloud works well for CI and CD scenarios using Azure DevOps, Jenkins, Maven, Gradle, Terraform, and many more. Name the Azure based, like, any of the CI/CD utilities that support Azure environment. They will definitely support this Azure Spring Cloud today. It's a very popular service nowadays when we talk about the Java world on Azure. Okay. So now let me start with the demo part. I know, like, theory, like, I've been talking a lot of theory, and it's a bit like bit more to hear on a Saturday morning. So, like, let's do some demo. But before that, let me show you something. See, this is a Azure Spring Cloud environment. Okay, I told you it supports uh, like uh, your microservices kind of application. It does, and it manages the life cycle, entire integration life cycle of your Spring Boot applications. So you can see here, like, there are three different Spring Boot applications running. You have a service registry that will help you in doing a service discovery. You have config server where you can keep your configurations. Then, it connects with different kind of databases intrinsically without needing to write a lot of code. But again, I would like to call it out. It's an evolving service. Not all Azure services can be by default be integrated, through the service dependency way that I am talking about. But day in and day out, Microsoft is adding different services to this array. Okay, so it integrates with AD. You can do secret management with Key Vault. Then it gels up with different DevOps tools and source repos, and also, like, monitoring observability you can bring in. So all these things you can do. Okay, maybe, like, you'll get more context if you go through this official documentation. So that's the best source to learn this Spring Boot Spring Boot thing. Okay, now let's get into the demo. In the demo, what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to create a Spring Boot application in Java in IDE. Like, I'll use IntelliJ IDE. I'll create a Spring Boot application using Java. Then what I'm going to do is, I'll be integrating this Spring Boot application with Redis Cache. I will use the Redis Cache binary package to work with um, so that my code can work with the Redis cache. But I won't be mentioning any kind of service connections in the Spring Boot application, but I will configure the service application on Azure Spring Cloud. So this is the scenario that I'm going to do. Go to my IntelliJ. So I have already created a Spring Boot application. Don't worry about the code syntax. I'm pretty sure all of you are from Microsoft background. Same with me. I'm also not a Java expert. So I just know the context from the migration perspective. So I'll tell you, it's a very simple code. What it does is it searches for a key. Okay, it searches for a key hello world 2. Is it there in the cache? If it is there, then don't insert it. Okay. If it is not there, this key is not there, then insert it. Okay. So what we are inserting this hello world 02. Then what we are doing is we are getting the value from the cache and rendering it in the browser. Okay. And this is the way how they write REST API in Java. Like they use this REST controller and they map this request to the root so that when I hit the URL, I'll be able to browse here. Okay, so that is how they do it. Okay, now what I'm going to show you one more thing is there is something called as a resources file. So in the resources application.properties. So if you see any Spring Boot application, maybe after this session, you can actually go back and you can explore in Google and you can figure out what this application properties does. It keeps a bunch of connection strings or application configuration files, and you can see it's all empty. Okay, I haven't mentioned anything about the Redis cache. Okay, so and one more important thing, I'll show it to you. This pom.xml. Okay, pom.xml is nothing but it is just a file where you actually define your name of your application. Okay, your name of your application and other few details. Okay, I'm not getting into those things, and also the packages that you'll be using. Like we do it from NuGet packages, right? We in .NET, what we do, we try to pull the package from the NuGet. So here we pull the package from the Maven repository, and these if you see here, so these are the packages that I'm trying to pull out. I'm going to work with Redis, so I'm using this Redis package. Okay, I say that my Java version is 11. Okay, and that is why you see this these packages here and few other packages, because I'm creating a REST API. So I've taken this Spring Boot starter web package, and test you can ignore. So I'm not written any kind of test cases here, but it's there. It got generated by default. So and again, to build this application, there are different plugins available. Okay, so most importantly, I'm using this Azure Spring Cloud Maven plugin. Okay, so how do I get it? So I just need to run this command. Okay, when I will run this command, I'll show you. I'll run this command one by one and show all these commands to you. So when I run this command, it will configure your POM file, and it will ask you what is the subscription you need, what is the name of your cluster. So all this information it will collect and it will set it here. And then we need to run this command to deploy it. Okay, 3 steps. First, using this Maven, MBN is like Maven build. It's a Maven command line utility. So that can build a POM. Okay, when I say clean install means I'm building the package, it's just like a .NET build. Okay, and build and publish. We are building and publishing the packages. So once the application is built and published, then we run this to actually deploy to. We run this to configure the Maven plugin, and then we run to deploy it to Azure Spring Cloud. Okay, we'll come here in a while, but before that, let me show you how we can create a Spring Boot application or other Azure Spring Cloud on Azure. Okay. So I already have a Spring Cloud here. I'll demo here, but I'll just show you like how to create it. Okay. Maybe you can just go to Spring Cloud. You can search for it, then do a create. Then let me do this here, like resource group. I had created all. I already had created a resource group for this session. RG. RG Spring Boot demo. Okay. I can say boot demo 01 or call it Spring Cloud. Spring Cloud demo 01. It must have been. Yes. Okay. It's there. Okay. Then I'm using the basic tier. Okay. It's a very expensive service, by the way. Like if you are sizing it for your customer, you need to take care of lot of things. It's a pretty expensive tier. Like basic tier itself costs you like 12,306 INR per month. So premium and enterprise will cost you much more, like in 40,000 or like that is the premium. So maybe you need to take care of this tiering a bit. And it's a very basic tier and it's not production grade. It's just for the demo or development purpose you can use. Now let me review and create it. And then you can click on create. Then it will spin up your Spring Cloud. Okay. So I'm not spinning up the Spring Cloud again because it's a pretty expensive service. I've already spun one for the demo already. And it also takes some good 5 to 7 minutes to get up and ready. Okay. So I'm not hitting on create. I already have a Spring Cloud service that I'll be using. So what else we need? I told you that we are going to connect to Azure Redis Cache. So for that, let me also show you the Redis Cache configuration that I've created. Okay. This is Azure Cache for Redis that it's a very popular service. No need of explaining you how to create this. You all are already expert in this. So in the Redis Cache, you just need one thing you need to do is you need to go to the advanced settings. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. And you say allow access only via SSL as no. Okay. That means we'll be accessing Redis Cache using a non-SSL port. But in production, this is not advisable. But the package I'm using here, this specific package, okay, this, what is that? Spring Boot starter data Redis reactive. So that actually works on non-SSL port. But again, there are other packages, there are other configurations that you can do to work with the SSL connections. But again, to keep the demo simple, to make sure that you all understand what I'm talking about, I have chosen this package. This is a very simple package as compared to other packages. But the only thing is that it works with this no thing actually. You need to make sure that this is set as no, and this should be the non-SSL port. Okay. So this is the only configuration I have done here. Okay. Now let me take you to the Spring Cloud. Okay. This is how your Spring Cloud will look like. If you see here, so this is how your Spring Cloud will look like. You can define your create your applications here. You can keep your configurations in the config server. Okay, let me go to the apps. Okay, let me create a new app. Say like I can call it as my demo. Okay, my demo. I can say that my platform is Java 11. I need 2 gigs of memory. Okay, and then what I need to do is I need to do a create. So what it will do is like it will create an app on your Spring Cloud 2010 infrastructure. Just imagine it with the way we create Azure functions, right? We create the function app first, and inside the function app we create different functions, right? In the same way, like it is the container, like Spring Cloud 2810 is the container. Okay, it's the bigger place on top of which you are going to create different applications. So once you've created this Spring Cloud, inside the Spring Cloud, you can actually create multiple apps just like this. If you see here, this is the bigger one, Azure Spring Cloud, that we created earlier. And inside that, and we are creating one applications. And here actually we can put in each of these applications, we can put Spring Boot applications or Steeltoe.NET applications. Okay. So let me see. It takes a while, like maybe a good 5-7 minutes. While it's happening, uh, let me do one thing. Like I will take you. We'll build that code actually. Okay. So we will build this code, what I've written. For that, I already have a console open actually. I'll take that. But before that, I just need to take care of one more thing. You see here, like the name of the Spring Cloud is Spring Cloud 2810, and name of the application is, it got created. Okay, it succeeded. It has got created. So now, and one instance is already running. So I can get into the app. We'll come to the code in a while. Okay, I can see one of the instances already running. So the next thing is you can definitely use this test endpoint and test your deployables, but you can actually make it public by assigning a endpoint URL. Okay, when you assign an endpoint URL, that means you are exposing this application that is running on Spring Cloud to the external world. Okay, see. So it got assigned. Now I can browse here. But also, like nevertheless, you can also browse this test endpoint. It's all the same. Okay. So for testing, like for example, you are building a private application, you won't be exposing it out. Then you can test it using this. Okay. So now, what next? I need to, like once you are done with this, I told you I need to connect to the Redis cache, right? So what I need to do? I need to define a service binding for Redis cache. So click on service bindings for this inside the app. Create a service binding. I'll call it the name of the binding as Redis. So these are the supported services today. Okay. So, but this list is growing day by day. Okay. So don't you see a very limited set of service today, but this list is growing day by day. So nevertheless, like you'll have so many services in future because it's a very popular service nowadays. Okay. And this is the Redis cache we had created. So I'll use the primary key. And I'm not going to do any SSL communication. I'm going to do a communication using non-SSL port. I'll mark it as false. Very important. Okay. Now let me create it. Okay. So all done. I have created this a Spring Cloud. Inside that I've created an application for Java 11. I have assigned the endpoint URL and I have created a service binding for Redis. Okay. Now let me go back to the code. What I will make sure is this this plugin. I'll just configure this plugin. Like the name of the cluster is Spring Cloud 2810. Let me just verify. Yes, and name of the app is My Demo. Just change the name of the app, or else it will create another instance actually. Demo. Okay, so all good. Is public means it will expose a public endpoint. We need to specify that. So once you're done with that, save it. Also, it's all good. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this. Okay. Indian clean install. So when I will do this, it will build the package for me, the deployable for me. Basically, it generates a jar file. So let me not talk about jar and all those things today, or else it would be a complete Java session. So okay. So build is complete. Now I want to deploy it. So you can run this like this command. I'll paste it in the chat in a while. So you can run this command. So with this command, actually what you can do is you can actually create this plugin actually. It will create this plugin in the POM file. I've already run it, so I didn't run it again. So you can provide your subscription details. It will prompt you. So when you run this, it will prompt you, give your subscription details, your cluster name, the name of the app where you want to deploy, the version of Java, and all those things it will ask you. Okay, so I've already done this. I'm skipping this step. I'll go here. All fingers crossed. Let me deploy it. Okay. It will take some good 5-7 minutes. By then, any queries I can take up actually. It will take some 5-7 minutes. Can do some queries by then.
Yeah, Mr. At least I don't see any question in the chat window, but if in case anyone has got question, please feel free to unmute.
Okay, so no questions. Either all are with me or like.
Yeah. We will take the positive sentiment from here. All are with you.
Yep. So while it's building, maybe I can add some more context. So like this specific service, like off late, like I've seen like in since 2020 and all. So a lot of enterprises have started using it. So I'll tell you like what they do is they host both .NET and Java. They bring in both .NET and Java applications, and they host it. They build a microservice kind of architecture. Few of the services are Java based. Few of the services are .NET based. Okay, and they bring in and they build a complete microservice package or a microservice application with a mix of .NET and Java. They bring in and they run it. Earlier also they used to do using AKS. Okay, few of the other services that can actually help you do similar kind of thing like Java, .NET, other technologies is AKS, Service Fabric. There also you can build this kind of applications. But again, this is pretty much easier for Java folks because they see that it is very much like their own homegrown Spring Cloud environment. So they love this environment. And when you talk about Spring Cloud to them or you discuss in pre-sales with a customer regarding your this Spring Cloud offering, so they get pretty excited and normally they come on board quickly. And trust me, like I have seen customers earlier how it used to go is like 20:80 ratio, maybe 3 to 4 years back. 80% of the applications used to be on .NET and 20 on Azure. But today it's almost the ratio is skewed. Like it's almost like 50-50. Okay. And even in some enterprises, I have seen like 80% of the applications in Java, 20% in other technologies, .NET just 5 to 7%. They go on Azure. Okay. So that is how this environment is currently in. Okay. Now let me go back here. This the overview page, and let me try to access it. It's still refreshing. Okay. Now I think almost the deployment is almost complete. It's getting the status. That's fine. See, it printed hello world true. What it is, let me just show it in the code again what it did. So I have a key here and in the Redis cache, I am like inserting this key like hello world 02. And then again, like from the Redis cache, I'm just retrieving it. Okay, I say this ops is nothing but is auto add is just like a dependency injection they do here. Okay, like we do in our .NET Core applications dependency injection. Here actually in the same way they do a auto-add, they call auto-add for injection purpose. Okay, so then like they have declared this Redis template. So with that, they are checking this key. If it is not there, they're setting it. Then they're returning it. Okay, that is how your Spring Cloud looks like. It's a pretty interesting area. So pretty much like when you will start solutioning enterprises, like complex enterprises, you are going to get a variety of language choices, maybe Java or Python, PHP. Even in one of the project I was doing a Azure solution for TIPCO. Like there are a bunch of TIPCO applications they wanted to migrate it to cloud. So in all such scenarios, like you need to know how to deal with all these kind of uh, technologies or the languages or the platform. So when we need to bring in the cloud transformation for the entire enterprise. So with this note, I am good. I'm open for questions. So I'm done with the session. Over to you, Nandadeep.